Tonight we take you inside a federal prison to a bizarre courtroom drama where a dying Teamster boss makes a frightening admission, an admission of how the mafia controlled his union with threats of wiping out his family.
They named my 2 children, my wife, and he said, "You'll be last."
I had the side of my face beat in. Considering where I got stomped, I couldn't have, sex even alone.
I've been told if I give this interview, I might get some concrete shoes personally, but it doesn't matter.
The Teamsters, the biggest union in the free world. More family paychecks are controlled by the Teamsters than any other union in this country. Now you're about to see a chilling videotape of a dying Teamster boss telling how the mafia was about to wipe out his entire family. Roy Williams also tells how he accepted an offer from the feds that he couldn't refuse. This exclusive videotape is the basis, the secret weapon that the federal government will use in their upcoming case to strike at the very heart of the biggest and sometimes most violent union in this country.
And I was told that I wasn't cooperating with Nick. And I better start cooperating. They named my 2 children, my wife, and he said, "You'll be last."
The International Brotherhood of Teamsters are the kings of the road, the biggest union and one of the most powerful forces of modern American life. But the kings of that vast empire have been crowned with violence, greed, corruption, and murder. A devil's pact with the mob.
I heard a couple of car doors slam behind me. People came up behind me. The next thing I know, I'm on the front seat of my car, lying in my own blood and urine, and I had the side of my face beat in, I had a busted hand, I had some cracked ribs. Considering where I got stomped, I couldn't have sex even alone, for several weeks.
In our lawsuit, we allege and are prepared to prove over 20 murders. We allege an equal number of beatings and situations in which severe bodily harm was done.
Formed in 1903, the Teamsters grew from horse-drawn team drivers to the largest labor union in the free world with almost 2 million members. It was a strong, wealthy union with a rough, bare-fisted reputation in its fight for the rights of the honest working man. It also, in later years, lined the pockets of the mob and the corrupt leadership. Now it faces a different kind of battle. The U.S. Justice Department, spearheaded by mob-busting U.S. Attorney Rudolph Giuliani, is challenging the executive board of the union. Not on the street, not on the highway, and not on the loading docks, but in the courtroom. This past July, the Justice Department finally was able to take action, filing a civil suit against the executive board of the Teamsters Union. Remember, it is the Teamsters Union. The feds, they want free election.
It is a surgical strike at the very heart of where the problem lies and has been for many, many years. And that is with the 18 members of the Teamsters board.
The feds have been trying to break the mob's stranglehold on the Teamsters for decades.
Well, law enforcement hasn't been asleep all this time. In the late 1950s, for example, Dave Beck, who was then the president of the Teamsters Union, was investigated, indicted, convicted, went to prison. Jimmy Hoffa came in and things got worse. Hoffa was indicted, convicted, sent to prison. Frank Fitzsimmons came in and things got worse. He died in office. Roy Williams came in, he went to prison. Jackie Presser came in, and no one suggests that anything is any better within the Teamsters Union when he was there. The problem is that mere criminal convictions very often don't solve the problem, but have the opposite effect, driving the Teamsters deeper and deeper into the hands of the mob.
But just how corrupt are they? We wanted to know, and we asked.
On a scale of 1 to 10, just how much are the Teamsters controlled by the mob?
I'd give it about an 8.
Assuming 10 means totally controlled, I would say 10. It's not even, can't even evaluate on a scale of 1 to 10. We're not.
The mob forgot about Roy Williams, the president of the Teamsters Union between 1981 and 1983. Why? Because in their parlance, he had one foot in the grave and the other on an ice skate. Now, that was a mistake, because old men don't like to die in jail. So he talked to the feds in this jailhouse videotape about how much he marched to a mobster's drummer.
I was controlled by Nick. And I think everybody knew it because Hopper told me that Nick was in the hierarchy of the so-called organized crime group. And when he threatened me, why, that's when I became his boy.
Former Teamster boss Roy Williams was talking about Nick Savella, boss of the Kansas City mob. In his testimony, the feds had gold. It was a key to their face-off with the Teamster Union. Now, who could better explain the mob's love affair with the union than Tony Ducks Corello, a honcho in the Lucchese mob family? Tony Ducks and his lieutenant, Sal Avellino, were recorded by the feds who bugged their car. This black Jaguar was a most damaging witness. Listen, just listen to this incredible tape.
Now you got the whip, you got the fucking... And this is what he tells me all the time. A strong union makes money for everybody, including the wise guys. The wise guys even make more money with a strong union.
When Uncle Ducks and Big Sally went to the slam, the feds were joyous. But then Roy Williams, from his prison confessional, continued to talk and talk and talk. He talked about how the Teamsters pension fund was used as a mob bank, a bank that helped build so many fabulous night spots in Las Vegas and finance the agenda of the mob.
Nick Savella had control of the pension fund, and by putting their man in Chicago, they would have control of it in Chicago.
Do you know why the payments were started?
They told me it was my share of the stardust.
Stephen Kindred is a Teamster. Like so many thousands of Teamsters, he is honest. He's part of the New York chapter of the TDU. That stands for Teamsters for a Democratic Union. He wants to give control back to the men whose muscles strain at their work and take it away from the wise guys.
It's incredible. $500,000. That's money worth fighting for. That's money worth hiring goon squads for. It's money worth taking the fifth before the President's Commission on Organized Crime.
Dan Moldeo, the man you saw at the beginning of the story talking about his beating, wrote a book called Hoffa Wars, and the goons gave him a scathing literary critique.
More than threatened. I've almost been killed about half a dozen times. Specifically what happened? I had a gun rammed down my throat in Detroit. Did a story about that. I got my ass kicked real bad outside of Chicago.
What happens if you're a hood who gets too ambitious? Alan Dorfman, financial whiz to the Teamsters, made that mistake. Genovese mobster Sal Briguglio made that mistake. Frank Kierdoff, a gangster for Hoffa, made that mistake. And even the King of Kings, Jimmy Hoffa, did not listen to an offer he couldn't refuse. Prison songbird Roy Williams remembers well. He tells of just how risky it was sometimes to be close to Jimmy Hoffa when even Hoffa himself sensed impending doom.
We used to take walks in national negotiations. And he told me to walk ahead of him on this one night. So he said, I'm not getting along too good in Detroit.
Hoffa, James Riddle Hoffa, indicted 7 times. His godfather was Carlos Marcello of the New Orleans mob. Today, Hoffa is either a hubcap or a fender after he mysteriously disappeared on July 30, 1975. Nobody seems to listen to his strongest arm, Joe Franco. Joe says he saw the kidnapping go down. Hoffa was conned because he thought the kidnappers looked like feds.
Hoffa was at the point of that pillar where he was expecting documentations from somebody to allow him to go back and take over the international presidency. With that, he walked to his car, got in with an LTD pulling up, a black driver with 2 Anglo-Saxons. They pulled up behind him, got out of the car, walked over to Jimmy, identified themselves. He got out of the car, smiled, shook hands with both of the white Anglo-Saxons. With that, they got into the car, drove off. So when they say I was the last one to see Hoffa, it's not true. Somebody saw Jimmy after me.
Then there are guys like Bruno Bauer, who was just too dumb to be a wise guy. He bitched about what he thought was a raw deal. He was working for Freedman Express in the borough of Queens, New York. Now, Freedman Express is a legit company, but what happened to Bruno in this chair was strictly illegit. We went there and talked to Danny Tajik, who saw the lifeblood seeping from Bruno. 4 shots in the head are so often fatal.
And one police detective asked me what's happened, and he bring me here to see what's happened. I find this chair like that, and Bruno Bauer body was here, facing on the floor, was a lot of blood.
The thought he was shot by a mugger who forgot to take his money would be funny if a man hadn't died. We talked to his attorney, Susan Janik. Janik is a lawyer who represents a splinter group of the Teamsters. The Teamster Executive Board would consider her a rebel.
Well, I think he was murdered because of his activity against the union, because he was trying to get the contract rate of pay and because he was reporting some evidence that he had of criminal activity to the U.S. Department of Labor.
Bauer had told her of a union official who was taking bribes. One union official, Robert Arciolo, the shop steward at Bruno Bauer's local, said that the notion that any Teamster boss was on the take was crazy.
Bruno Bauer believed that I was a phantom, that I was never here, and I never represented the men. I wasn't here for their grievances or whatever, which is a lie.
The murdered man's attorney, she's a lady, and she doesn't fake fear.
I think you know a lot more than you're willing to tell me.
I know some.
And former Teamster boss Roy Williams, the dying songbird, talks more and more. He knows a lot about threats, particularly from his boss, Nick Savella.
I was told that I wasn't cooperating with Nick. And I better start cooperating. They named my 2 children, my wife, and he said, you'll be last.
Paul Poulos is a Teamster who says that the Teamster bosses won't let him work. Poulos wanted to kick the hoods out of his union. Now he says the Teamster bosses have blacklisted him and he can't get any work at all.
I've been blacklisted in Local 390 in Miami, Teamster Local 390 in Miami, Teamster Local 138 here in Long Island City, Local 282 in Elmont, Local 814, Local 553. It's like a family, is the only way I can describe it. A corrupt, cancerous family.
This is Teamster Local 560 in Union City, New Jersey. But it's more than just another union headquarters. This was the personal fiefdom of the Anthony Provenzano crime family. It was like a banana republic, and he was the dictator. Because even when Tony Pro was in the slammer, he pulled all the strings and he raked in all the dough. That is, up until now. And now a bizarre situation. This man, Ed Steer, is a Fed. He put guys like Tony Pro in jail for most of his adult life. Can you believe it? Today, this Fed runs the Local 560, which used to be run by gangsters. That's the whole idea. He was put there by the government.
People have a kind of naive Robin Hood view of racketeers, as though those racketeers are only going to steal from the rich and pass it down to the people in the union. The members of a union who have been the victims of labor racketeering know better.
I've been told if I give this interview, I might get some concrete shoes personally, but it doesn't matter.
They know that the racketeers don't steal from the employers, they steal from the members of the union.
Top Fed Ed Steer knows he's not playing with a ladies' softball team.
I mean, it wouldn't serve anybody's purpose to try to intimidate me. I've been involved in law enforcement for a long period of time, and if I left here, somebody else would replace me.
Okay, how much is the Brotherhood of Teamsters Big Brother?
The fact that you've got a You've got the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters with such vast resources, economic resources, political power at his disposal, ought to be shocking in itself.
But the Teamsters see federal intervention as old-fashioned union busting.
What I'm saying to you is he will not destroy the Teamsters Union.
The new president, William McCarthy, who perhaps has been unfairly linked by the Los Angeles Times to late mafioso Raymond Patriarca, angers at the accusations of mob influence.
And that's lousy, that's rotten, that's dirty. It's not fair.
Songbird Roy Williams has, by his own testimony, given the feds the ammunition they need. But Williams, well, he didn't come for free.
Can you tell us what that document is?
Yes, it's an agreement between the Justice Department in New York, granting me immunity.
Teamsters have organized, can you believe, police departments, prison guards, and even workers in the space shuttle program. The Teamsters, because they are rough, tough guys, hate a rat. But they even represent Disney World's Mickey Mouse. Can Superman be far behind? Next February, the federal government will go to court against the Teamsters. And any day now, Roy Williams is expected to leave jail to die a free man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kansas City.